Well, hello everybody. It's Kevin Knecht live here from my home office here in Lakewood Ranch, Florida. I want to welcome you to our live broadcast that we have every Wednesday night here at 8 o'clock Eastern Time with the Prosperity Team. It's a real privilege to be a part of this incredible team of entrepreneurs worldwide. Those of you that tune in every single week like myself, we have lots and lots of incredible hosts and incredible talent to be surrounded by. It makes me feel a lot smarter because I have a great team here in Empower Network myself, and a lot of my team tunes in every week. So I just want to thank all of the incredible leaders that I'm learning from every week in my team as well. And we have a lot of guests tuning in here tonight. We've got a great topic for you tonight. We're going to talk in detail tonight about how to, number one, quit your job. Number two, how to live by the beach if you'd like. Now, if you want to live in the mountains or if you want to live somewhere else, that's cool. And number three, how to triple your income. And right as we get started, man, you know what? I thought I was cool enough to turn that off, but I did not.
How unprofessional.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Tanner, that's enough. Thank you. I've got Tanner back there, right over my shoulder there as well. If you see him, you can kind of see his screen back there. Just do me a favor, keep an eye on what he's on the internet, so that way we can make sure the kid's doing the right thing. Anyway, here's what we're going to talk about in the broadcast tonight. I also want to mention we have an income disclosure down here at the bottom of the screen. We're going to talk about incomes on the broadcast tonight. I want to tell you that my wife Melissa and I were bankrupt about 2.5 years ago, and we've made a little over $538,000 the last time I checked in a little over 2 years with Empower Network. And here with the Prosperity Team, those are not typical results, but you can see typical results on the link below at the bottom of the page here. And I want to tell you that we do have an income disclosure that's updated every day. And last thing I want to say about that is the great news is that when you are in a home-based business, yes, we all start at the bottom. On day number one, I had $0 in my bank account. I had $0 in my in earnings, and I had 0 people on my team. But the great news is that I'm going to lay out a system for you tonight where you can choose exactly where you want to be 90 days from now. So as we broadcast live here on June 18, 2014, looking ahead, it's going to be September the 18th in 90 days. Here in North America, kids will be back in school. Summer's over already. It's back to the grind. And I'm here to say that if you really run with us over the next 90 days with this plan I'm going to show you tonight, you'll have the ability to make that all optional. Wouldn't you like to be the mom or dad who puts your kid on the school bus? Or even if you'd like to do virtual school from home like we do with our son Tanner, so we can travel a lot. We do a lot of traveling throughout the year, and it's great to be able to have the option of traveling when we'd like, rather than whether the teachers are going to let him miss some school. So just some thoughts we're going to get into here on the broadcast tonight. But the main purpose of this broadcast is for you to take a pen and paper, take down some notes, and I'm going to show you the back office of exactly what we do on a daily basis, so you can kind of get a peek behind the curtains. That's kind of fun, right? And see exactly how this works. And then I'm just going to tell you straight up, to lock arms. See where that blue button is down there? It says lock arms with the Prosperity Team. Let me do my fingers like this. And it's $25 to get started, guys. My wife Melissa and I, we spend $32 to go to breakfast. And it's just for 2 meals. It's not that much. So I'll tell you what. I want to tell you a quick story as we get started. And then I'll show you exactly what we're going to broadcast here tonight. I'm going to show you my back office and all that so you guys can take a look. I was watching one of these broadcasts. It was the middle of March. It was 2012, and like I said, Melissa and I had filed a personal bankruptcy, and we just were in a terrible spot. I'd actually worked from home for years. Melissa and I had actually generated 6 figures working from home, but because of just being dumb with money, we went through it all in the year 2011 and ended up having to file the big B. So I was really on the verge of just quitting and getting a job, and just at age 42 at the time, I was about ready to say, you know what, enough is enough. And I know some of you watching this broadcast right now, you may be a little bit lean in the bank account more than you'd like to be, and that's okay. You're in the right spot, because I want to tell you, I watched a broadcast like this. I got started, and I followed 8 core principles that showed me how to go from bankrupt to bank, and we did that. And again, the individual results may vary. Look at the income disclosure at the bottom of the page, endisclosure.com. So before I get too far down the line here, I want to introduce you guys to what we're going to talk about here. Now, by the way, there's the screen. I didn't show you my screen yet. I just realized I didn't turn on my screen so you guys can see my screen. I'm going to show you my screen here. I got some things I want to show you guys, and I think you'll enjoy this. I know I enjoy watching broadcasts where you like, ooh, we're going to show the secrets now, right? That's what I'm about. I mean, as good looking as I am on camera here, right? But so we're going to go through some interesting information here on the broadcast tonight. And by the way, the chat box, I can kind of see it. I'll look at it from time to time, but I might not see that. So I know we've got some other leaders on the team who are monitoring the chat box. So have a look there. It's actually, as you're watching this broadcast, if you're typing right now as I'm speaking, I will see it in about 30 seconds. So it's not exactly real time, but it's close, okay? Let me see. Is my camera on? My camera, oh yeah, you guys can see my screen now, I'm assuming. So let me just make sure that you guys, because my little light went off here. Let me just double check here real quick. All right. Apologize for the delay here, guys. Okay, so I think you guys can see my screen. I think. Let me turn that off here. Let me come back here to live. There's the light. Okay, good. The light is on. And now let me go back to the desktop, start screen share. Okay, all right, we're good. So here's what I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to show you guys into the, when you get started here, you actually have, I want to talk about exactly how Melissa and I were able to get up off the mat and get into the game. But I'm going to save that here for a minute. I actually had a presentation here I wanted to show you guys real quick. I want to show you some slides here. I actually got prepared here, but I actually tried to outdo myself. So as you guys know, my wife Melissa and I, we went from bankrupt to bank. We followed the 8 core commitments. I'm going to show you these in a couple of minutes. And we created $57,000 in 90 days, starting with nothing. Starting with nothing. And I know some people here on the broadcast tonight, you're coming here saying, all right, Kevin, how maybe you're special and I'm not. Well, that's a thought that's going to hold you back. So I'm going to ask you to suspend those judgments for just a few minutes, okay? And I'm going to ask real quick, is there anybody here who's ever struggled financially besides me? Go ahead and raise your hand. I can't see you right now. You can't see me because my camera's turned off, right? So, okay. Is there anybody here who's ever struggled financially? Good. You're in the right spot. Now, as I told you, I'm going to give you some tips tonight on how to use Facebook. Because like I said on the teaser there, how to use Facebook to quit your job, live by the beach, and to triple your income. I'm a Facebookaholic, guys. We have lots of people on the team who are Facebookaholics. And I'm here to say you can generate a large income just by playing around on Facebook if you do it with some deliberateness to it. Now, December 15, 2011, we did file a personal bankruptcy. However, if you look at my Facebook, if you scroll back to that actual date, you didn't see me and Melissa, or Melissa and I for you grammar fans, taking a selfie. We didn't take a selfie outside of the courthouse at 9:30 in the morning when we emerged with less than $100 in our checking account with the slate wiped clean, right? I was focusing on where I was going. So right now, I'm going to encourage you, if you're in a bad spot right now, always talk about where you're going on your Facebook because people are watching you. If you're excited, if you're jacked up, if you're like, man, this is the greatest day ever, you're going to be helping out somebody who's probably coming home from work and not having a good day. They want to know what you're doing. Now, you got to tell the truth about these things, right? There's always something you can focus on. Now, even though I had no money in my bank account, I had a great wife. I still do. Great kids. Everybody was healthy. We had food. We had a shelter. A lot of people don't even have that, so we had that to look forward to. I also started surrounding myself with great quotes. Now, here's a quote from back in 1995. Some of you guys know who Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is. He says, I had $7 in my pocket and knew 2 things. Number 1, I'm broke as hell, and one day I won't be. You can achieve anything. You've got to start filling your head up with great things that are going to keep you on the path and help you make that transition from being broke to being prosperous, right? I want to tell you another quick story here. Here's what I figured out. January 1st of 2012, it was New Year's Day. It's kind of a windy, warm day in Phoenix, Arizona. I was living in Phoenix at the time, by the way. This is Lookout Mountain. If you guys recognize this is the Unity of Phoenix Church. This is actually Bell Road, 19th and Bell, something like that, in North Phoenix. I went up on this mountain. I sat up here for 4 hours that day. And I thought, you know what? I have got to get my head out of my rear end. It is time to make some changes. And I visualized. I took a pad and paper with me. I wrote down my goals for the year. And I told myself that within 90 days, because I work in 90-day stretches, within 90 days, I was going to have the solution. I was going to have the solution to my family's struggles, and I was going to take charge and never look back again. And lo and behold, we joined Empower Network on March 21st, 2012. So I hit the goal. I did it within 90 days. I found what I was looking for. And then we started. Now I want to give you guys a couple of tips. If you're brand new and you're in a spot where you're like, well, Kevin, I live in the ghetto. I live in my car. I live with my mom and dad, and I live in their basement. I'm not very prosperous being in this area. Well, there are a couple of things you can do right from the get-go as you start your business. Now, of course, I'm actually broadcasting on my MacBook Pro here on my laptop, so I can take my laptop and go into a Starbucks, which is kind of cool. But here's a tip that you don't hear very often. This actually has helped Melissa and I a lot. We still do this from time to time, although not as much as we used to. I want to show you this next slide here. We lived in North Phoenix, but we didn't live that far from Paradise Valley in beautiful Arizona, which is just filled with expensive hotels where it's adorned so nicely. And here we are at one of these hotels in Paradise Valley. I don't even remember which it was, but all you got to do is take your laptop, dress nicely, don't dress like a hobo or whatever, right? And go into the hotel, get yourself a coffee, maybe get a quick lunch, and then find a nice place to sit for the afternoon and just be in that prosperous place. When you're in that prosperous place, it's awesome because then the great ideas can come to be. You can start to write a blog, you can write a post, you can take pictures, you can start to visualize where you're going to go for your next 90 days. It's an awesome thing to do. And as you're also getting started, I would also make the recommendation that you get your family involved. A lot of you guys are thinking right now, Kevin, I don't know if I have my family on board. A lot of you guys have kids or grandkids who are very eager to see mom and dad or grandpa and grandma win in life, right? And they're very, what I love about kids is that kids don't filter. They feel your enthusiasm and they say, you know what? I want to be on board with whatever you're doing. And I want to say this about parenting. I say this about every time I get a microphone in front of me. There are a lot of parents today who make the grave mistake of telling their kids, this is my son Tanner right here, and they tell their kids, hey, Tanner, you can be anything you want to be in life, but yet that parent will sit on the couch, be on his third or fourth beer, and watching the second football game on a Sunday, and have nothing going on in life, right? Wouldn't it be better if you actually were the parent who was actually going for it in life and actually having results and actually going for your dreams, right? Going for your dreams. And it's okay if you haven't done that up until this point. Here's what I learned a few years ago, was that I was going to make it no matter what. And the way I figured was, even if it took me 10, 15, 20 years to get things right financially, I would be set long before if I stayed at a job. I haven't had a job since I was 27 years old. I went to college in Pennsylvania. I ended up working in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Shout out to my friend Josh Shanley, who lives in Harrisburg. Josh, I know you're watching the broadcast, my man. And I worked for a radio station, WTPA, the rock station of Harrisburg, man. And I made about $25,000 a year driving around in my car, cold calling businesses to buy advertising on my radio station. But I was not going to get to the promised land in that situation. And you know why? Because my boss told me, Kevin, I love the guy, John Butler. He was a great mentor for me in my 20s. John Butler, my sales manager, says, Kevin, man, you have the potential to make 6 figures. I always remember that. Like the first couple of months, he and I were at the lunch one day. He's like, man, you could do so much if you just bought into yourself. Because I was pretty, I still had a lot of self-doubt and worry about myself. He says, Kevin, you can do that. Now, here was the funny thing about that advice, was that I later found out that he was not making 6 figures. And he was the sales manager. You cannot out-earn the sales manager in most sales companies. You just can't. So I thought, wow. I kind of had an aha moment one day after about a year and a half that I am not going to make 6 figures at this stinking job. I will never be able to live life on my terms. I'll never be able to live where I love. I'll never be able to be the primary influence in my kids' upbringing. I didn't even have a family at that point. So I knew that things were going to have to change. So if you're in that spot right now where you can't even think that far ahead, I'm going to invite you to maybe not do it for yourself, but do it for your kids or your grandkids, because they're young, they will watch. And imagine right now if I took this and I put a big red dot on Tanner's head and blinked like the old movie cameras, like the camera blinks, when it's on, when it's recording. Well, kids are always recording. They're always figuring out what you're up to. They know, and they do what you do. They don't do what you say. They do what you do. They will go for their goals in life if they see mom and dad going for their goals in life. So get them involved. And here's what I did in my first 14 days. I figured out my first 14 days, you know what? I'm gonna make Tanner accountable every night to me, or I'm gonna make myself accountable to him. And here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have him write down a name every time somebody joins my team. So every day, all I thought about is I got to get another name on that whiteboard. We also had a little iPad contest with my enroller at the time. He actually had a contest like, put your name in the hat. Every time you make a sale, another name goes in the hat. And I thought, well, if I make more sales, more of a chance to win. And as it turns out, I actually won the iPad contest, which was cool. Tanner wanted an iPad. I couldn't afford to buy him one, so I thought, well, maybe I can win one. So that was kind of cool that we were able to win an iPad, and now Tanner had an iPad just for helping me, right? So get your kids involved. Get your kids involved. Set daily goals and include them. And I told Tanner, quite frankly, I said, you know what, Tanner, if I bring 90 people onto my team in the first 90 days with this compensation plan, I'll probably make more money than I would if I went to a job for the next year. And that was the truth, and I did. So we much more than tripled our income. And we were living in our dusty townhouse in Phoenix, Arizona, and we actually had a dream to get out of there and get closer to the beach. Hey, I want to tell you something else, guys. When you start working from home, you want to surround yourself with leaders. You want to get around the people who are having results. Now, I want to tell you this, that we're having a live event in 1 week from this Friday, June 26, 27, 28, and 29 in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, a lot of you guys may not even be on the team yet watching this thinking, holy cow, Kevin, that's only a week away. And, yeah, it is only a week away. Now, here's Melissa and I in the front row here at this event. And we're not singing here, although it looks like I'm singing. It's kind of funny. And there's Lawrence Tam, by the way, really cool guy. There's Ed from Ohio. There's Tony and Jessica Rush. You guys might know them. This is cool. We actually knew about this event about 3 weeks before it happened. And look at all these people here. There were over 1,200 people at this event. And, when you surround yourself with greatness, it's going to be awesome. By the way, look at this caption down here. Does it look like we have only $500 in our bank account? Now, at this point, Melissa and I actually started to make some money here with Empower Network, but we were 3 months behind in all of our bills, so we actually paid off like 2.5 months of bills, and then this event got announced, and all of a sudden we were like, oh my gosh, we were financially embarrassed. It's like, well, now we're going to buy plane tickets and rent a car and do all of this stuff and pay for the hotel. And on this trip here, we actually got to the hotel, and somehow I broke my glasses. That's a brand new pair of glasses, like $700 glasses, because I got them at LensCrafters. So I only had about an hour to get them done, right? And I begged them to get them done because I have astigmatism and all that. So I paid through the nose. And when we sat down in the seats, we had $500 in our checking account, and that was it. But of course, we came home from that event, and we generated over $57,000 in the next 90 days. And again, income results may vary. You may or may not do that. You may make more. There's a better compensation plan now. The next thing I want to tell you guys is that when you come back from an event, so anyway, get to Charlotte. Here are the details for Charlotte. I want to show this to you real quick because I know some people are thinking, should I come? Why should I come? Well, here's why you should come, because you can get around people like this and accelerate your results this summer. So you can come home, and July 1st is just around the corner, guys. Imagine having a plan, having all of these leaders around you supporting you this summer, so that way when your broke Uncle Bob comes to your house on July the 4th and wants to have 6 beers in your backyard and tells you you're nuts for being in a home-based business, you're not going to be defeated by Uncle Bob, because Uncle Bob has no credibility, right? I mean, unless Uncle Bob's making $2 million a year, you ought not listen to what he has to say. So, but it's amazing, right? I mean, isn't it amazing how people will just listen to their broke friends and family? I know I fell for this for years. I'm 44 years old. My first venture into a home business was at age 24. I was working at that radio station at the time, and for 2.5, 3 years, I used to listen to my fellow employees. Oh, Kevin, why are you doing that thing? Why don't you just come out to work and be happy, And I didn't go for it. I didn't really go for it. Now, the other thing I learned in that opportunity in 1994 through the 1990s, I was in the Big M. I wasn't in the Big A. I went to the Big M. Here's what I figured out was that my upline, 4 lines above me, nobody was making more than $500 a month. So I didn't surround myself with people who were having the results I wanted to have. So it made it very challenging. Now here I want to tell you, everybody watching this broadcast live or recorded right now, you have an incredible team of like-minded people who are all about you winning. I mean, the leadership we have available here, oh my gosh, guys, I don't know if there's an easy roster to show you. Some of the leaders here on the Prosperity team, I'm thinking of guys like Chris Jones and Chris Campbell, $1 million earners in this industry and here at Empower Network. I'm thinking of Mike Hobbs, who's about 3/4 of the way to $1 million. Part of the leadership council here, guys that make over $40,000 a month. And Adam Whiting, guy behind the scenes who's just killer here, who's helping to build our new system, which you'll be hearing about, called iPass 2. I'm also thinking about Josh Shanley. He's one of our hosts here who's a six-figure earner here who's crushing the leaderboard right now. My friend Lisa Torres-Allen, who escaped New York, right? I mean, she was raising a family from the time she was a teenager, and she was able to move into a beautiful home in Atlanta, and you'll get to meet her at the event. You know, I'm thinking about who are some of the other leaders that I'm leaving out here. I'm going down the list. I shouldn't be doing that because I'm leaving somebody out. You know, I'm thinking of my friend Angela Moore, who's down in Bali right now at a wedding with her friend. She can afford to go there. You can't go to Bali. It's not cheap unless you're actually making money. But imagine just that small list right there, guys, and there are more people I'm leaving out. Thinking about Kevin Souza, our Facebook expert on the team here. A guy's making six figures, and he's building leads for free every day just playing around on Facebook. You'll get to meet him in Charlotte. There are so many incredible leaders, guys. And having that mindset of being surrounded by people who are having the results that you want to have, that's your key to success here. If you take one thing away from this broadcast tonight, is surround yourself with the people who are having the results that you're looking to have. And then I also want to tell you that once you get home from an event, it's time to go to work. It's time to go to work. Even if your team is zero, you want to start sharing your vision with your team as people are joining your team. You want to let them know that you're the boss, that you're going somewhere, because people want to follow somebody who is in action going somewhere. People who are on my team, you know, in the summer of 2012, when I was starting to build, I was doing this one day at a time, guys. I was doing broadcasts, so I couldn't afford a cool headset, so I was using my old-fashioned headset there. You know, I was in action on a daily basis. And by the way, my team didn't know I was bankrupt 6 months prior to that. They didn't know. But they knew we were cranking it all summer long. We were available to them, and we were helping people to, you know, to have results. Another thing I want to let you guys know, and we're going to get into this on Facebook here. I'm going to open up my Facebook account here in a couple minutes and show you some tricks. You want to have some social proof as you're building your business. You know, for example, we have leaderboards. We have contests all the time, and I happen to be #1 on a leaderboard when we started this contest back in July 16, 2012. I woke up that morning like, holy crap, I'm #1 on the leaderboard. I better snap that shot, capture that shot there, because you want to capture that and you want to put that into your marketing. So anytime you have a win, when you make your first sale, when you have your first $100 day, when you have your first $500 day, or how about this? Maybe when you're taking your wife out to lunch and in the middle of the day you make a sale without having to be on the phone. That's a big win. How cool is that? By the way, so we went through this summer. This was in 2012, and we did end up in the top 25 of the contest that summer out of, I don't know, thousands of people. How many people were in it back then? 36,000 members worldwide, and we were in the top 25. And you know, isn't this cool? Empower Network gave us leather sofas to sit on. Isn't that hysterical? There are the Mercados back there. They're awesome. And I don't recognize some of the people here in the picture. But anyway, you know, so, and we built this visual all summer long that we were going to be in the top 25. I wanted to be on that leather sofa because those chairs back there hurt your back after a while. Melissa's back doesn't feel good. And I thought, well, I want my wife to sit in a good seat. So that's what we did, you know. Anyway, and then here's the cool thing. We told our story on stage. We told our story. We told the world that we were bankrupt. Now, this was in September 2012, and I couldn't believe it. Just 9 months prior to this moment, we were bankrupt. And here we are on stage after making $57,000 in the summer and about $70,000 overall in our first 6 months. Here's what I want to tell you guys. Share your struggle after you defeated it. Don't tell a soul right now if you're about to get the car repoed. I'm here to tell you that it's okay to get the car repoed because I've had it happen. You can actually go to Enterprise Rent-A-Car on a Saturday for $9.95. Rent the car on Saturday, go food shopping, go to church on Sunday, return the car Monday morning, and then you're just locked in your house all week long making money, right? That's what we did. That's what we did during this time. You guys believe that? I mean, we didn't have a car. We were renting a car for $10 a day for the 90 days leading up to this. Or whatever you have to do, guys, whatever you have to do. Now, I want to stop here and give you some quick advice here. Sometimes in order to be happy in the present moment, you have to be willing to give up a hope for a better past. And I want to talk to you about this because this is where a lot of people miss the boat. They're so busy trying to please their old broke friends when they start to make a run in a home-based business. You know what? I'll tell you what. When I saw an opportunity here in March of 2012 where I could run, and you know, my sponsor is a guy named Tony Rush, who is the #1 earner in the company right now. He's made $2.4 million. Definitely not typical results, right? He was in the middle of a $34,000 month. And I thought, you know what? I don't care if my friends and family are going to call me nuts, but they would be nuts not to join because none of my friends are making $34,000 in a month. I want to surround myself with this mindset so I can provide for my family and be free. You know what? And here's the thing is that, some of my family and friends thought I was nuts. They knew we had filed bankruptcy, and they're like, you're going to go and do that again? And my answer was yes, because at age 42, what would I do? Go work for $40,000 a year for the next 25 years? Now, think about that. Well, let's see, 25 years, 40,000. Whoops, 40,000 times 25. Yeah, I thought that's $1 million, right? Hey, you can make $1 million in 25 years by making 40,000 a year. Okay. Now here I am. So it would take me. So after 2 years, I would have made $80,000. Well, after 2 years, we've made over $500,000. So now I'm not saying you guys will do that, but you can. At a job, there's no possibility. There's no possibility of generating a professional income at a job because jobs are paid for the task, not for the personality and not for the talent that you bring to the job, for crying out loud. You have to be willing to give up a hope for a better past. So you might have some people right now who will be upset with you, and that's okay. I wish I could. I had to dig around on Facebook too much, but I saw a comment earlier today. All right, I gotta find this. This is funny, and people love to see. I love to see this stuff when I'm watching the broadcast. Let's see, who was the person that wrote this? It was sometime yesterday. It was sometime. Oh gosh, I don't remember where it was now. I don't know if I can find it. But here's basically what happened. There was somebody on our team who wrote something about a broadcast I had done recently. And the friend writes something along the lines of, "Okay, Mary, tell me when you're rich." Like basically giving the middle finger to Lisa. Let's say it's Lisa putting a broadcast saying, "Hey, here's Kevin Knecht who's showing how you can generate an income working from home this summer. You ought to watch this." And so Lisa's all excited, and I'm making up names here, by the way. And so Mary says, "Well, contact me when you're rich, Lisa. Ha ha ha." What kind of friend is that? What kind of friend is that? I've had friends tell me that. And here's the truth. Here's what happens, by the way, when you do become rich. Because I've had friends told me in March of 2012, "Kevin, I'm just going to watch you. When you start making money, I'll be right there with you." So I went back to these people 6 months later. "Hey, we were just on stage. We got a check. We're making money. Are you ready to make money now?" Here's what they say. "Oh, well, Kevin, you just got lucky." Or, "Oh, Kevin, I don't know. Well, I'm not as talented as you." Any excuse will do, right? Here's my recommendation. When you see people like that, I'm just going to pick on my mom here. I'm not going to actually do this, but my mom's awesome. Anyway, so here's what you do. You go to Friends, and you go to Unfriend. Unfriend. Please use the unfriend button. I'm not going to do this to my mom. I just want to show you on Facebook. When you have people make comments like that, you delete the comment and you click unfriend. And you send that person a message that that's not acceptable. Because it's not. It's not acceptable. By the way, just in other news, if you live in New Jersey, Mom put this on Facebook today, that apparently the New Jersey State Police is now going to give you a ticket if you're 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. Isn't that ridiculous? If you're going 70 to 65, they might give you a ticket. All right, back to the broadcast here. So seriously, guys, that's a big takeaway. You're going to have people surrounding yourself right now who will not be for you in moving forward. They're not going to be for you. If they're not for you, they're against you. You've got to really surround yourself with people who are going to show you exactly where to go. Okay? Because if you don't surround yourself with the right people, this is going to be you tomorrow morning and every Monday morning. That's going to be you. We moved to Atlanta, and I heard that Atlanta traffic was pretty horrific, so I actually put on the news one of the first mornings. I said, let me see one of these traffic reports in Atlanta. It can't be that bad. This is the traffic report. This is 7:30 in the morning in October of 2012. Look at how dark it is, and look at all these people. Is that like Stress City? I mean, would you want to be a part of that every day? Not me. People sometimes say, Kevin, what you do is so hard. Well, this is hard right here. This is tough, right? Being in the morning in the dark, are you kidding me? So instead, here's what I would recommend you do. I would recommend you do is follow the directions. Let me go back to show you these 8 core steps. So again, when you get started on the team here, So click the button right there below, lock arms with the Prosperity Team. And while you're doing that, let me show you exactly what's going to happen here next when you get started. Let's see, where's the screen here? I need to have a new window here. Let me open up a new window here. So I'm going to log into my Power Network back office here and show you this. And then we're going to get to some Facebook tips here. Now when you first log in here, this is cool. You see up here it says Complete Fast Start Training. Now there are actually 8 steps that you do as a brand new affiliate. Here's what you do first. You watch the lesson video. You just open it up, click right here. The video starts. It's our friend Dave Wood, who's the founder of Empower Network. Guy's making, I don't know how much money he's making now. It's a ridiculous amount. And I just got to show you this. Look at this guy right here. Now, this guy looks like he probably should be homeless, right? Dave Wood. Love Dave Wood, by the way. Shout out to you, Dave Wood, if you're watching this. But this guy was homeless in a van in 2008 or 7 or 9, somewhere along the way. He's turned things around considerably since then. He makes several $100,000 per month with his own affiliate account now. So don't mistake his dress code right here. He has the whiteboard there. He's going to teach you how to escape your employeeism and how to become an entrepreneur very quickly. And these are the core steps right here. I want you to write these down here real quick. Take some notes here. Have a pen and paper. Write these down. The 8 core commitments. Number 1, get all in. Buy the products so you can actually learn, kind of like when you go to college. You know, when you go to college, you don't pay for part of the tuition to go to one class. You buy the whole tuition, and you go to usually 5 classes at a time, right, for 4 years. You buy the products. Get all in. You need them. Number 2, he tells you to blog daily. And that means, get onto your blog and also get on the Facebook, get on the social media, and let people know that you're alive and in business and that people ought to look at what you're doing. And get excited. Turn on your video camera. Use your iPhone or your smartphone and start shooting some video that you're jacked up about life and everything like that. I'll show you a couple of examples here in a minute. Number 3, market daily. You're actually going to learn through our products, in case you don't know how, where to place ads all around the internet and even offline. So eyeballs will find your website and they'll say, yes, Mary, I'd like to have more of what you're having, please. Right? The 4th commitment, new member coaching. As new people join your team, you're actually going to learn how to speak to your brand new people as they get started. And if you choose to do that, you'll make a lot more money here. Income disclosure, by the way. We make a lot of money in Empower Network because we actually speak to our new team members when they come in here. Not everybody does that, but I'd recommend you do that. Okay? Number 5, you want to start listening to Inner Circle audios daily. Now, what does that mean? Inner Circle audios. Well, I like to use this example, is that when you want to learn a foreign language, you buy the Rosetta Stone series, or maybe you go back to school and you take 4 years of Spanish like I did in high school, even though I don't speak very good Spanish now. But you inundate yourself with the language. Now, a lot of us growing up grew up with parents like me who worked 2 jobs. My parents worked jobs all their lives. They didn't have businesses. So I spoke employee. That's what I learned to speak. I speak English, but I speak English employee. When I came to Empower Network and started listening to these Inner Circle audios on a daily basis, I learned to speak English entrepreneur. You guys get that? Entrepreneurs always focus on a solution. They don't say, I can't. They say, how can I? Maybe you want to write that down. They don't say, I can't. Well, Kevin, I can't because I don't have the money. I can't go to Charlotte next week because I have to work. Now, the entrepreneur would say, I can go to Charlotte and meet you and all of these thousands of people who are having results in life and actually get somewhere in life. How can I do that? Well, you can take a plane, you can take a bus, you can hitchhike, you can take a car. There are lots of ways to get there no matter where you are. I've got people on my team coming from New Zealand and from coming in Australia and from the UK and from different parts of Europe. Maybe even, I don't think me personally in South Africa, but somebody's coming from South Africa. And yet I have people on my team who are in Atlanta who are making excuses why they can't come. And they can't drive 200 miles to get there. Isn't that ridiculous? So anyway, speak entrepreneur. You'll get further in life faster if you commit to inundating yourself for an hour a day. Next core commitment, read daily. Books like, I want to show you something here. Let me turn on the camera, and I want to show this to you guys. This is important. And all I've got to do is find the camera. Gosh, I've got so many screens open here. This is kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Okay, let me open up the camera here. Let's see. Screen share. Turn the camera off, and you should be back live here in a second. Hey, that's me right there. Hey. I want to show this to you. This book right here, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Great book. Great book by Robert Kiyosaki. It's about him growing up as a teenager or whatever, and he's got two dads. The dad who is making money with a business, and the dad who is making money as an educator. Now I want to show you this side by side. I actually got this idea from my friend Lena Lopez. Now look at this right here. In my right hand here is a Rich Dad Poor Dad notebook by Tanner Knecht that he just started, because he's done his schoolwork now for the summer. Tanner's going to be reading books every day, and I told him he needs to write a one-page summary of each chapter, what he's learning. So parents, again, this is where you can really make a change in your family lifestyle right here. This is a great way to get your kids on track and to get you on track too. I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad. When Tanner finishes the book, we're going to have a conversation about it. But he's excited about it. It only takes about half an hour to read a chapter. He's got his notes right here. It's pretty cool. And then we can go swimming. Then we can go back to his video games and all that. But these are things that you can be. These are small steps that you can be doing. And heck, if you don't have the $8 to buy the book, then go to your local library and get it out of the library. So anyway, and by the way, this is the book I'm reading right now. Great book, Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill. Because and I just want to say this. Our mind can really play tricks on us. We've got to really own our mindset. That's really the purpose of it. It's a great, great book. It is awesome. It's really the hardest work you'll do in life is working on yourself and getting rid of your BS. And Dave Wood. I'll go back to what Dave Wood was saying earlier. He said, let me put the screen back on here now. Screen share, desktop, start screen share. There we go. I'll show you the screen again. Dave Wood, right here. We looked at this picture earlier. He says, I don't buy my own excuses, because if I don't buy my own excuses, then I don't have to buy yours. Isn't that pretty powerful? That's really powerful. That's a place in my life that I'm working to get to, and I still have a few excuses that I buy into that I'm working to eliminate. And the reason I have to eliminate them is because my kids are old enough. Olivia's 21, Tanner is 13, I think. So, I can't make excuses because they're old enough to figure out that, hey, Dad, why do you get on these broadcasts and tell people not to make excuses? You just made an excuse. You need to say that on camera. So there's the work, and that's where reading, guys, that's where you're going to grow. If you ask, well, what's the difference between somebody like Mike Hobbs, who makes a lot of money working from home, and Mike that nobody's ever heard of, who's going to his third event and still hasn't made a dime? Well, Mike Hobbs is following the 8 core commitments on a daily basis. When you listen to Mike Hobbs, who's one of our greatest trainers here at Empower Network, he's reading, he's listening to audios, he's implementing things on a daily basis, so it comes naturally out of his head, right? He's doing it with 4 young kids, by the way, and a wife. So, and he's probably the 5th kid at home too, because he's a funny guy, So he's got a busy lifestyle, and yet he's making money, he's making it work. While I mention this, I also want to give kudos to our friends Alex and Anna Z, members of the Prosperity team. By the way, great leaders who are about $750,000 now. Let me show their picture here. You guys got to see Alex and Anna Z. I always talk about these guys because we have a lot of people on the broadcast who say, well, Kevin, I have a job. I don't know if I can do this. Let me show you. Let me show this guy right here. This handsome devil right here, Alex Z, right here, and Anna. These guys had full-time jobs when they started their Empower Network career. Full-time jobs. Melissa and I, we were in New York with them about a month ago, and we drove to both of their places of employment. They live in Brooklyn. They've got 2 small children, and they got on the bus or subway to go into Manhattan from Brooklyn every day. Anna worked down near Battery Park, beautiful office building, and Alex was, I don't know, Midtown? Is that where it was? I don't remember, but I don't know how these guys did it. And then they come home at night, and they built their business. And Alex actually got asked to leave his job because he was taking too many vacations, because the guy was going to too many Empower Network events. He was taking his family on vacation. They have a vacation home in upstate New York. Isn't that fun? But these guys made over 6 figures while working this business part-time because they had full-time jobs and their parents as well. So no excuses, guys. Another guy that has done this, $1 million earner, his name is Lawrence Tan. Another guy who worked part-time with his business. He got multiple 6 figures, and he quit his job. So these are just 2 examples, guys. And I know I'm leaving some people out here, but man, these guys can do it. Why not you as well? So that's definitely possible for you. Let me finish these core commitments. Number 7 is the Empower Hour. We have a live free call every Monday night where you can dial into. So whoever invited you here tonight, if you're a guest, you can certainly get that number from them and join us every Monday night and get free, incredible training. We had a training with Lawrence Tam. I just showed his picture on the screen. One of his teammates, Brian Couch, he talked They give some great detail on how you can get onto YouTube and get eyeballs on your YouTube videos all day long. It's incredible training. Final core commitment, get to the next event. Get to the next event. So I hope you guys are writing these down. And again, all you got to do is join. You'll see this in your back office for $25. This training right here, if you join for $25, you ought to probably pay about $1,000 just for this training right here. But it's $25, which you'll pay by taking your kids out to ice cream tonight. So instead of taking your kids out to ice cream, do this. And then you can take your kids out to ice cream all day long, all summer, right? So, yeah, and again, income results may vary. You may or may not be able to take your kids out for ice cream. I wouldn't recommend that anyway. They should probably have a salad a couple of times a week as well. Okay. So there's what you receive when you join the team, okay? So let me go back here, a couple of things. Let me remind you of this in case you still think going to work tomorrow is a better idea. I just don't get how people do that. I really don't get that. Now I want to give you this visual as well, and then we'll get to the Facebook. This visual right here, we actually, after we made some money, for the first time in years, I could take Melissa on our anniversary. She picked the spot. I want to go to St. Pete Beach. I like St. Pete Beach. We've never been there. Here are some pictures of our little anniversary trip here. And I got to thinking while we were in St. Pete Beach, because we were living in Atlanta at this time, and this was December 8th we were here. And look at that gorgeous sunset. And look at how happy Melissa is in that picture. And I thought, man, we've got to live by the beach. We've got to live by the beach. It's been in the back of my mind for years. Why am I wussing out on this? Let's just go for it. We've got to make a little bit more money to do it. So we've set an income goal. We made the money to do it. We moved. We moved here to Lakewood Ranch. We live right near this beach now. Actually, Sarasota is the next town down. We're about 20 minutes off the beach now. We live in a beautiful golf resort community here, just absolutely loving life. But what I want to show you guys here is that you've got to get a vision for where you want to go in the next 90 days. You've got to write it down. You've got to get it in front of you. You've got to work extra hours to get it done. You've got to go for it and be obsessed all day, all night. You've got to go for it. That's what it's going to take to break through. If you're making $20,000 a year right now and you want to make $20,000 a month, you've got to make some changes. And it's all in the mindset. Those 8 core principles I covered earlier is what's going to get it done for you. So your beliefs don't make you a better person. Your behavior does. So we've talked about this a little bit earlier, guys. So now it's time to get to work. Now it's actually time to get to work. Now, is it tough to get to work? I mean, really, is it tough to work? Here's my work. I want to show you guys this from earlier today. I was sitting outside my back patio today, and Tanner and I were just kind of doing our thing here. He's actually in the process. He wants to write a book. And so here's Tanner and I. We're just kind of doing our thing here. And here we are sitting out by the pool. He's got his laptop. I got my laptop. It started to rain, which was kind of cool, so we're just having some fun here. But, we work for 45 minutes at a time. Then we go jump in the pool and fool around. And, we went inside and made some lunch. This is the work, guys. This is the work. Now, remember, it wasn't like this when we started. We were bankrupt. This was the vision I had, though, for almost a year before we got to this. But I want to show you guys that this is available for you. It's definitely available for you. Now, you may have to do it this way. Like I showed you earlier in the broadcast, you may have to go find a spot, wherever you live. I don't care where you live on the planet right now. There's a beautiful hotel nearby or a beautiful Starbucks or maybe a nice mall where you can really feel prosperous on a budget, and just get dressed up nice, and go there and go there on a Sunday morning when it's nice and quiet or whatever. That's what you're going to have to do. Now, for getting to the work, here's what I want to show you guys. Here are some tips that we used right away, because the truth of the matter is this income that Melissa and I generated, we did this all on Facebook all summer, guys. This is how we continue to generate 90% of our income now. We're not really big experts on paid traffic, but we are experts on free ways to generate leads all day long on Facebook. Now here's how you do it. Simple stuff that you probably already know. So I'm just the team members here, most of you guys know this stuff already, but if you're brand new and you're just watching this as a guest, you probably don't know how simple this stuff can be. So I want to show you some good examples as well. So first of all, when you actually come, let's start with your profile picture here. You want to have a picture where people can actually see you, and I would recommend you put a picture of yourself recently. Don't put your college picture on unless you're still in college, right? I also want to show you some good examples here. I'll show my friend Greg Onischuk, who's on our team here, one of our first team members. He's a guy who joined our team, by the way, in May of 2012, I believe it was. And he got to an event right away. He didn't have the money, but he still made it happen. And his dream was to live around the world. He's from Vancouver, British Columbia, single guy in his 30s, and I think he might be closer to 40 now. I don't remember. And he wanted to travel around the world. He needed to make some money first. And so, well, he's doing that now. He lives in Colombia part of the time. He's in Victoria, British Columbia for the summer. Went from Colombia to British Columbia. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so here's a great picture. Here he is living his lifestyle. I mean, look at that picture right there, guys. This is him in Colombia. I mean, if you're his high school or college buddy or whatever and you see him out of the blue on Facebook, don't you probably want to know what he's up to? Now, look, he doesn't put his link here or anything like that. He's just drawing you in. But over time, as you scroll through his Facebook, by the way, I love this post right here. Mondays don't suck. It's your job. How to retire now. So if you go to his website, that's what you'll find. He likes to go out to eat, He puts quotes up here every once in a while. People inspire you or they drain you. Pick them wisely. We covered that a little bit earlier in the conversation. Now here's a picture of him hard at work in the middle of the workday, right? Kind of cool. These are things you can do on your Facebook right now to mix things up. You want to mix things up. You want to have some video. You want to have some pictures. Here he is talking about, hey, I'm going to Charlotte. He actually booked his ticket, and when he booked his ticket, he said, hey, here's your trip to Charlotte. And this is kind of funny because I looked at this and I thought, it looks like it was pretty cheap for him to go. I think he only bought a one-way ticket. So I actually wrote on his Facebook, I actually wrote, Greg, looks like he bought a one-way ticket. I put the comment on here somewhere. I don't know where it is. And, it's kind of funny because he said, as a matter of fact, Kevin, it is. He buys one-way tickets, and then he'll stay in Charlotte, and then he'll figure out where he's going to go next. Isn't that cool? Wouldn't you guys love to live that way? I mean, isn't that awesome? I mean, I never thought that way when I had a job because even when I went on vacation, well, I had to get back to work the following Monday, so I could only go away for a week. But imagine the freedom. What if you could just buy a one-way ticket and decide, you know what, I'm just going to go live in Charlotte for a couple of weeks. I'll stay at a hotel. Maybe I'll rent a house. I can go, vacation rentals or something like that. I mean, imagine that. Think of these possibilities. Home vacation rentals or something like that. I know there's a website for that. I just want to give you guys some ideas on how to dream, Maybe you forgot how to do that. Vacation home rentals, right? You go to a website like this and pick where you want to go. Okay, so let's see. I want to go to North Carolina. I want to go to Charlotte, which is, I think it's in this area. I don't really remember where it is. Let's just pretend it is here, right? Here are houses, right? You can rent a house for a night or a week or whatever. The sky's the limit, guys. When you have an internet business, you can start to live this way. If you document this on your Facebook, if you actually dare to live this way, people are going to wonder what the flip you're up to. These are the secrets of how Melissa and I were able to get things going. We took many little trips here and there once we had a little bit of money. We didn't break the bank, certainly, or do anything like that. Let me get back to Facebook here. Somehow I got off track here again. Imagine that happening. So let's see. I guess I have to open a new window here. Oh, let me go back here. This is where I was before. Okay. So let me go back to who are some other people that we know who has a good Facebook? Who would like to volunteer? Let me just pick on my friend Mike Hobbs here. You guys know Mike. You love Mike. Let's check out his Facebook here, right? So here he is. Yeah, he's got a great mix on here. He's got some things going on. He also edifies other leaders. Edification is great. Here he actually was attending a webinar. He was attending a live event this week with other great leaders. And look at him right in the middle there. I mean, wouldn't you want to work with Mike because he's surrounded by all this greatness? I mean, he's a smart guy. Now, this room's a little empty, and that's kind of funny. I mean, but normally it's full. But here, again, a great mix here, meeting people. Another tip I want to give you guys that when you're brand new, you want to get your pictures with team leaders when you go to an event. Like, I don't know who this guy is. Raphael, right here. Good for Raphael. Hey, he wanted to meet Mike Hobbs. So he's like, hey, Mike, can we get a picture here? And so look at that. He's got a picture. And look at that right behind there. There's Chris Campbell right there, a little cut-up of him. That's pretty interesting. So all these opportunities to get pictures, lifestyle pictures, and just fill your Facebook with things like that. I would also invite you guys, if you're really passionate about things, like right now I'm really passionate about working out and eating well. So I actually put a lot of posts up, and I like to stir up a little controversy about that from time to time as well. I'm real big on taking your kids out of McDonald's and getting them into a real meal for a change, And, oh, by the way, just as an aside, last night there was this big bug outside of Tanner's window. So we got the camera out. We were playing around with the iPhone camera, and, I actually, found the way to make it look like I was filming this from outside, and just get the conversation going, just weird things to get people following stuff, whatever you have to do. I'm here to say that if you will post on your Facebook 80% of the time, just put content, offer your own opinion about things, write a rant every once in a while. I wrote a rant here a couple of days ago, and I said, please allow me to get on my soapbox. And just to make the rant a little bit better, I found a picture of the soapbox. In fact, I'll show you guys how you can do this. If you go to Google Images, you can go to Google Images and just, there's Google Images for anything. So I can just type in soapbox cartoon, and all of these guys on soapboxes right here. So find one that you think you like. Here's a guy on a soapbox, right? And you can just take these pictures and you can save them. And I'll show you this other cool little trick as well. I use Jing, Jing.com. Maybe you guys know about that. You can Google it. Well, Jing is a little program that allows you to capture things on a screen and then save it as a file. So if I want to save this right here, I can just drag my mouse there, and now I can save that, capture it right onto my desktop, and save it as a file. Now I've got this. I have a folder of little JPEG files that I keep on hand just for that reason. So there's an infinite number. I will tell you this. Just be careful, because every once in a while somebody puts a little bit of an inappropriate picture here. So if you're doing this around your kids, just beware. Just a word to the wise. So what other Facebook tips can I give you guys? Whenever you have things going your way, just get excited about it. Let me take you back to 2012 here. I want to show you guys a little bit about, my first couple of months here. I wonder if I can go back to quickly to April. There's a way here I can show you the months. I don't know if I can actually show you that. Maybe if I click here again. I don't remember how to do that. I thought there was a way you can go back to the months here pretty quick. But what I started doing here was whenever I had any kind of result, I would put things here. I also, here's a result right here. Here's us on a leaderboard. So I took a screenshot of that. We spent yesterday at the beach and made about $2,000 and moved up to number 6 in the company out of $60,000. StartEmpowerNow.com was our URL. By the way, if you do this now, this is non-compliant. I got to change this. You got to put an income disclosure on here as well. So at the bottom of this, I ought to put something like, these are not typical results. If you'd like to see typical results, please go to endisclosure.com. Here's Melissa and I we stopped at the Empower Network office and just visited there. Just a lot of different things. This was back when we were pretty new. I shot a video here about some things that were going on. My first day at the gym when we moved to Atlanta. I talked about getting to a gym and how it relates to being successful with a business. I gave a video here how to create your ideal 2013. You just want to give your subscribers things to look at. Oh, here's that. Remember that right there? So there's a lot going on here, guys. But the thing is, you just want to keep the energy up all the time, because motion creates emotion. And I'll tell you what. I'm trying to think of I'll pick on my dad now. Here's an example of what not to do on Facebook. Actually, let me go back to my mom here. So let me show you some other examples here. By the way, here's my mom right here. See this right here? That's a picture of a flower. That is not a picture of a person. If you have that on your Facebook right now, go take a picture of yourself. In fact, have your kid take a picture and post it right away, because that is a big mistake. That makes you look like an amateur, and you will not be taken seriously, and people are not going to follow you into a business if your picture is a flower. You know what I'm saying? And you definitely, and I'll pick on Mom here as well, because she's cool about this, and she's retired. She's awesome. I mean, my mom worked hard for 30 years to get to her retirement. You don't want to have a screenshot here of the level you reached on the House of Fun slots. First of all, you probably shouldn't be have time to play this kind of game. You should delete these from your Facebook, okay? Get these off of your Facebook. Put content on there that's valuable that people will actually like to see. Like, for example, here's my mom on her day she got married, a picture with her and my grandfather. That's what you should put on there, right? That's what you should put on there. Oh, by the way, here's a picture of from the 70s. Here's me and my brother and my sister. I just wanted to point out that my parents were hysterical with this wallpaper and curtain and chair. Isn't that cool? And I want to say this about this as well, guys. I put this kind of stuff on my Facebook, and over time, it's amazing. My subscribers get to know me, and they join me because they like, wow, that guy's a regular guy. He's not hiding behind something. I know who he is. You know, I know who Kevin and Melissa are. Now, Melissa doesn't always think it's the smartest thing to do. You know, some of the posts I put. Oh, I want to show you this viral post I just kind of made up the other day, a couple of weeks ago. 9 days ago, I posted this post about Talking Pennsylvania. I actually saw this somewhere. I copied this. I didn't. I found this on somebody else's Facebook, and I actually cleaned it up because it was just all in one big long text. A little tip, guys: when you have a long post, break it up into sentences because it's a lot easier to read this way. So anyway, every state has this. I grew up in Pennsylvania, so we don't go to the beach when you live in Pennsylvania. We go down the shore, which is a true story. We also refer to the state as PA. We don't. I mean, when you live in Connecticut, it's not CT. When you go to Florida, it's not FL. How many other states do that? So what's cool is that everybody who grew up in Pennsylvania has a bond to this. They see this picture and they're like, oh yeah, I remember that. I've heard of birch beer. Yeah, I've heard of words like hoagie and crick. People say crick instead of creek or instead of you know what I'm talking about? So anyway, here's the picture, but I want to show this to you guys. Look at this. 25,000 people have shared this picture. I started with a group of about 25 people. I put 25 of my friends from Pennsylvania. I just said, hey, isn't this cool? Something like that. Well, now it's been shared 25,000 times in 9 days, and over 7,000 people have liked it. There's 2,100 comments on here. People keep putting comments on here, and I've been starting to get a lot of friend requests from people who I'm not even, who I don't even know. Like this person right here, there's no mutual friends. I bet if I kind of go scroll back that this person found this and says, oh, I want to be friends with this Kevin Knecht character and see what he's all about. And this is a true story, by the way. I got to show this to you too. A girl I went to college with, Jackie Molsky, right here. Check this out. So she added me as a friend today. I'm thinking, wow, I forgot her name, like from 20 years ago. So funny, Kevin. A friend of mine from high school who now lives in Arizona shared a map of Pennsylvania with things you know if you were from PA, and your name was on it. Did you write that? It made me smile. Looks like you're doing well. So isn't that hysterical? A girl I went to college with, she was a disc jockey just like me at the college radio station. She was pretty fun to hang out with, Jacqueline Molsky. And I haven't thought about her in a long time. It's a weird, it's a unique name, not a weird name, Jackie. Sorry, a unique name. But isn't it a small world? A friend of hers saw this picture on Facebook and forwarded it to her, and Jackie sees it and says, "Oh my gosh, Kevin Knecht! I know Kevin Knecht. Isn't that hysterical? It's such a small world." So these are things that happen when you play around on Facebook, and eventually, these people, when they're ready to find a business, they will remember you. You want to be memorable. And I want to say this also while I'm talking here. Your best subscribers, your best prospects right now are shopping you versus Mary and Melaleuca and Amy and Amway and Victor from Visalis and Ollie from Organo, right? You know what I'm talking about? So the professional prospect is looking to see if you're the professional that whom they want to join with. So you've got to have a page that people are excited to come see, right? You've got to be the guy or gal that's really got it going on. Now, of course, until you get a check on stage, you can't put a picture like this, but there's no reason why you can't put a good picture on. Who has a good picture is, who I really like, is Lawrence Tam's picture right here. Check out his cover photo here. Winning at each level. He's got a picture of Super Mario Brothers because he's like a video game addict because he's got small kids. He plays video games. Isn't that hysterical? Isn't that awesome? So, I mean, that's a great, great cover photo. I'll go back to, I was looking at Greg Honestchuk earlier. Isn't this great? This is lifestyle right here, guys. Anybody can make this right now. You can just take it and you can put your cover photo up there. That's the best thing you can do right now to get more people onto your Facebook page is you definitely want to make sure when they first show up, they're going to be excited about what they see. Now, another thing that's important to do is go to your About Me page right here. Go to your About Me page and make sure you've got some good information on here. Put your current city where you live, your hometown, so people can find you, right? And, oh, by the way, this is, see this up here in the corner? I actually have to remember to turn down the thermostat in the house because my wife likes it ice cold, so I have to remember to do that every night. Isn't that hysterical? So, put things down here that let people know so they can find you, right? I went to college here at Shippensburg. I went to Council Rock High School so people from high school can find me, so people from college can find me. You want to make it easy for people to find you, right? Now, here's a tip also for people who are already on the team, about your work and education. Here's what I recommend you do, is put your URL here. Put your URL here, and if you have a fan page, like we have Kevin and Melissa's Prosperity Tips. We put our fan page here. We don't put the name of the company. Like if you were an affiliate with Melaleuca, for example, you wouldn't put you're with Melaleuca. No, you put you're with Work with Top Earners, and here's your fan page. You always put that, right? I'm with Empower Network, but I wouldn't put Empower Network right here. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So I've been talking here for a while here, guys, and I've actually talked a little bit longer than I intended to. But these are just some of the Facebook tips that I find that newbies, it's so second nature to me, but I say these things on broadcast, and people are like, wow, Kevin, I never thought of that. So, and a lot of new people are joining and watching this broadcast. So, again, for those of you guys who are seniors here like me, this is pretty basic stuff. But the basics, doing the basics on a daily basis is what's going to drive a lot of traffic to your page. And the other thing I'm going to recommend to you guys is that when you also start sending out messages to your subscribers, tell them that you're on Facebook. Every once in a while, send out a message saying, hey, connect with me on Facebook. Here's my Facebook page. Here's another tip I would give you guys. Put your URL, like my URL, kevinknecht.com, goes to my Facebook page. So it's real easy for people to find me. That's a really important tip. You want to have that. Is if you buy your URL, of course, your name, first name, last name.com. And if it's not available, like if your name is John Smith is not available, then I would say you want to buy workwithjohnsmith.com. Hope that makes sense. Okay? I've been talking for a while here about a lot of different things, and just want to think if I have any couple of other Facebook tips. We could probably talk for hours and hours about Facebook, but I'm telling you guys, this is the platform to master first. Yes, you can master Instagram. Yes, you can master Twitter. Yes, you can master all of the other things, Pinterest that I'm leaving out, and LinkedIn. And you want to have accounts in all of those areas. But this is the creme brulee where you want to start. You want to start with Facebook, and you want to connect to all of those other ones I just talked about. Okay? You definitely want to do that. By the way, just as an aside here, isn't this cool? You are who you surround yourself with. I love this list right over here. Some of my best friends that I hang out with on Facebook. Look at this list right here. These guys, this is an awesome list that I hang out with. You are whom you surround yourself with. So it's just pretty cool to be aligned with so many incredible people. And I was flipping bankrupt 2.5 years ago. So I'm here to say that if you're in a bad spot right now, you can definitely turn things around very, very quickly when you surround yourself with a group of leaders like what's available here. So again, lock arms with the Prosperity Team right there below if you haven't done so already, for crying out loud. The other thing I wanted to share here with you guys as we get close to the end of the broadcast here is just this. Let me go back to the keynote. That's what I was looking for. A couple of those screens I wanted to show you guys here as we get closer to the end here. Yeah, I wanted to show this to you. If you're on Facebook all day, at least get paid for it. Like I said, there are a lot of things you can be doing on Facebook all day. You can be, playing games. You could be joining all these groups and things like that. I would recommend that you find groups of people who are going to empower you. People that are going to edify you. People that are going to believe in your dreams. And when you come across the looky-loos who give you negative stuff, there's a guy, some of you guys may know, a guy named Andy Andrews, who spoke at one of our events I was in another company years ago. Andy Andrews, great speaker. He said this to me, not to me, to the entire group. I always remember it. He says, you know what? As you get better, some people are going to get bitter. And as you get stronger and bigger and more famous and all of that stuff, the haters are going to emerge from the left and the right. And you can't say or do anything. There's just no way to avoid it, right? Now, he said this, this is the quote, I always remember this. He says, hey, look, if Mother Teresa and Oprah have haters out there, then you and I don't stand a chance. I mean, what a profound statement. That's so simple, but yet so profound. A lot of people will make the mistake in this business of trying to please everybody. The best thing you can do is the best thing you can do is just be your best self. The best thing you can do is be your best self. And just, the people that aren't with you, that's okay. We send the love to them. Just like our friend Justin Varengia does. Love and light. Love and light. When you send the love and light to people, they will eventually, they may actually get agitated, which is kind of a good byproduct. I kind of like that, If people don't like me, then that's even more fun sometimes, because then they get a little agitated that I'm happy. I'm still happy even if if they're not choosing to be, right? So let me just turn off the screen here. We're going to wrap it up here in a minute for you guys here. Kind of bring it in here for a landing. We've talked about a lot of things here on the broadcast. So as we get closer to the end of the broadcast here tonight, guys, a couple of things. Number one, we've talked a lot tonight about Facebook and how you can get started. I showed you the back office of exactly what's waiting for you. I didn't even get into the prosperity team because there's so much we could take another whole hour here. But suffice to say, this team of entrepreneurs, whomever invited you here tonight, has a direct link to myself and the other leaders. And I would say come up and meet me in Charlotte. I'll be there next Wednesday. We'll be there Wednesday through Monday. It's going to be an incredible event. We're going to have a couple of thousand people there. We are, in essence, relaunching Empower Network 2.0. We have announcements that are so big, and I have an idea of what some of them are, but I don't want to say it here because I'm probably not supposed to anyway. But get to Charlotte. Get to Charlotte. Join the team here tonight. And before you click Get Started, I want you to think about this. What happens if you just decide not to get started? I'll give you a guarantee. If you leave the broadcast tonight and you kind of decide, you know what, I'm going to go back to work tomorrow, and I'm just going to stay in the grind, and, I don't know, I can't afford to lose $25, Kevin. Well, think about the little guy or gal who might be sitting behind you right now. Think about that. And think about what I said earlier in the broadcast about being the example, being the primary influence in your kid's upbringing. And I'll leave you with this. Wouldn't it be great if 50 years from now, or 50 days from now, or however much time we have left here, right? I mean, I don't know. We may have 60 days left. We may have 60 years left. If you're over 40 like me, you probably have less than 60 years left. But what we're doing right now is writing our legacy, either by default or by design. When I showed you my Facebook account earlier about going for it and screwing up and things like that and just sharing my real thoughts, that's what my kids and grandkids are going to see long after I'm gone. And right now, you have a choice, too, to reinvent yourself. If you're not happy with the way things have been going so far, it's okay, because you can start all over fresh, and you can create something out of nothing right now. But first, you've got to get started. You've got to align yourself with a group of people who are going to be here with you, who are going to lock arms with you to fight those forces of evil. And I'll tell you what, if you'll just move forward confidently, follow those 8 core principles like I mentioned earlier, if you'll dare to meet us in Charlotte next weekend, I promise you, you will hit the goal. You will do it. It may take you a little bit more time, but if you stay in the game, you will win. Now, what are your alternatives, right? What are your alternatives? We don't have to think about that. But get in the game. I will be here to personally congratulate you. I will be there. Come up to me. Please come up to me. Find me. I'm pretty easy to find in Charlotte. And say, Kevin, I got started on that broadcast on Wednesday, June 18th. I'm here. And I'll tell you what, if you do that, I will work with you personally. I will work with you personally. If you come up to me and say, Kevin, I just got started 10 days ago. I'm here in Charlotte. If I can be of any service, let me know. I will help you. So even if your sponsor won't, but they will. I mean, So that's all I have for tonight, guys. Love you. Thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast here. And as we close off the broadcast, I want you to think about this. Today can be the greatest day in your life. That's 9 o'clock. It might be tomorrow. But tomorrow can be the start of your greatest transformation. The greatest service that you can do for the world is to become your greatest self. So you and the world actually benefit by tapping into your greatness, by being your best self. So that's my message to you tonight, is that please don't play small. Don't play small. Play big. And mean something to somebody else who's probably sitting behind you right now watching your very move. Because they're going to be proud of you if you do. They're going to be proud if you go for it. And who knows? I had this vision that maybe 30 years from now, Tanner might be the guy that creates the next biggest product like Steve Jobs did back in the late 70s, right? I have no idea. But I know if I keep instilling through example every day that he can go for it and go live life on his terms and be anything he wants to be, I've got to be that example first. So I'm going to do that. And that's what I hope you guys do for your family as well. Hey, it's Kevin Knecht. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you right back here on the next Prosperity Team broadcast next Wednesday night. In the meantime, go out and make today your best day so far in life, because you and the world absolutely deserve it. Bye for now.